The European Union since 2011 focused on two important aspects, that is modernization and internalization of higher education. Our priority is not only increasing the number of graduates, but also attracting a broader and embracing new technologies. Our higher educational internalization communication strategy was launched in 2013, which ensures that internal cooperation not only involves professors, learners, but also vast majority of students and staff that are not really mobile. As you may know, international cooperation projects in higher education have always been dependent on individuals as a basis for further excellent joint initiative. But this is not enough. Higher education institutions also need to mainstream the internalization that the helps improving teaching quality and also gives more exposure universities as attractive partners for non-European universities, also India. We aim to ensure that strong links between our funding programs and our policy goals are really concrete. Erasmus Mundus, which is a very important program, and it really deals with students, faculty, as well as non-academic staff, which were dealing with your higher education. They are just integrated in one program called Erasmus+. And this program covers education, training, youth, also sports sector. It aims at achieving greater synthetic impacts and large reduction of number of actions and simplification of financial management. So that gives our commitment to the field of higher education internationally. Erasmus Plus program has three main pillars. One is learning mobility of individuals, is cooperation for innovation and exchange of good practices, which the third pillar is support for policy reform, which implements open method of coordination, prospective initiatives. Between 2005 and 2013, around 3,700 Indian students and academic staff received fully funded scholarships under Erasmus Mundus.
Student conferences as it is are very rare in the country, and I think but it's an integral part of the European Union project that you just heard about. So we are really delighted that so many students are here today to participate in that. I mean, I don't know how many of you know about the British Council. Hands up if you've heard of the British Council and what it does. Primarily our purpose is to provide opportunities for young people in the UK and the countries that we work in, which is over 100 countries, to come together and learn, share experiences. And we work in three areas: education, arts, and the English language. I won't tell you anything more about the British Council, but if you're interested, I can always speak to you separately. I thought so you can do it in two ways. You can build more physical infrastructure, which is very intensive and cost intensive and time intensive, or you can increase places in existing colleges, universities. I think both have their own challenges. And there is the question of, so the private sector, the government probably hasn't, so there is a huge gap. So what's the solution? Is technology a solution? I just want to leave that as a question for you rather than answer it. There are gaps in resources, and so we have, as I said, a very rapidly expanding higher education system. And it has its own challenges. Even if you had all the resources, it comes with its own challenges. Anything that's expanding quickly will have quality issues, whether it's in manufacturing, especially in education sector. The moment you scale up, you will face challenges of quality. You will have to get jobs that pay. So we're moving from an agricultural society to a service sector, IT and financial services providing the maximum number of jobs, and they are the most attractive for young students. Teaching is not necessarily a preferred employment opportunity for a majority of young people. So that's another challenge. It's said that we are producing unemployed. They neither have the knowledge of the subject or the discipline, nor do they have the skills that are required for the workplace. And the skills that you require for the workplace are defined by the 4 C's in the 12th plan, and that's communication, critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration. So every employer gives the feedback saying, you really need to do something about these skills. Take, for example, the IT sector. The IT industry spends 6 months to a year trying to train a graduate from even the top institutions in our country.
The day what technology was moving forward to, eventually this will be technology which will be driven, and as you know that globally or uniformly, and e-learning provides us a opportunity to learn things. But then lecture at Harvard University and look at what a Harvard teacher is talking, same topic. But the one important thing here is that it's a globalized counterpoint with opportunity here, different aspect of this, and learn nothing. The skill is not that the students do it. People like me also go to YouTube and look at things, how a particular experiment is done. Because sometimes I learn a new thing and I have no idea. I'll go to YouTube and check it out. Broaden your horizon, but at the same time, you have to do a hands-on experiment. In science, you cannot bypass it. You can dissect a frog on the screen, but dissecting a live frog, which suddenly the chloroform goes away and starts entrepreneurship, which I started this month. These skills is the skill development is a top priority of our new government. Why I'm telling this is that I remember when I was young and some professor who went to Japan and came and told me that he wanted, you were doing some
seminar, workshop, brainstorming, because this we understand is a kind of a path-breaking endeavor. We are dealing with the business of teaching, learning, the process of literacy, spreading literacy. Now, literacy, the concept of literacy has undergone paradigmatic shifts through centuries. And right now, in 2015, we are talking about an interactive kind of engagement with the new technologies available to benefit ourselves, to make the teaching learning process more interesting, more profitable. More profitable. For whom? For both those who are the facilitators of knowledge, whom you call teachers. We are not teachers. We are only facilitating the knowledge acquisition of the knowledge. And the learners are have the capacity, they have the creativity, they have the imagination, and therefore they have at hand technologies to bring to fruition their thoughts and their capacities, so that new horizons of knowledge acquisition, knowledge production can be attained. For centuries, consuming and producing words depended on the reading, writing, speaking, learning process. Till a radical change, a radical shift came. It's bound to come. Things change. So newer and yet newer forms of communication and technology engagement became available to us. And media, for instance, became a very important form of communicating, getting across our ideas had become available to us. To now, these days, to be literate in the real sense of the word is not only to read and write and learn and speak, but to be able to use to our best advantage the technologies that are available to us. Traditional literacy, what we understand as traditional literacy is still, it's not discarded, you know. We still use them, but they have to be augmented. Literacy is always to be, a moving forward process, going ahead, reaching out to new horizons with whatever technology is available to us. So traditional literacy has to be augmented also, which is no longer sufficient for an individual, for a learner or a facilitator of the learning process to competently that technology makes available to us. For what? For learning, for teaching, for producing, for creating new kinds of knowledge also, new kinds of understanding. So what do we have today? For example, what we call multimedia, what we call digital humanities. Digital humanities is an umbrella term for the new and fast-paced developments across a range of activities. And the papers today are going to talk about all these different sectors of the learning process. For example, from how music can be made more interactive over MOOCs. Okay? Music, you know, there's a wonderful paper that we shall begin with. Then how industry and learning can become, can achieve a kind of interface, and so on and so forth. So these are the new, advances, new avenues that digital humanities will explore. It is a process which has brought in transformation in creating search engines, in the way we produce work, creative writing, for example, transforming our knowledge in different ways. It has basically transformed our understanding of a text. What is a text? It has refined that understanding of a text. It has made the understanding, the engagement with a text interactive. That is what technology has made available. And how best to make this interactive process, best to make this successful for our use is what we shall be talking about in this seminar. New digital technologies make available multiple languages of representation. For example, oral, written, oral, visual, technological. So it's a combination of all these capacities that are available to us to facilitate our learning and creating process that we shall be talking about. At an end, it is always a process that goes towards advancement, towards creating new horizons of acquisition of knowledge and producing. And this, the digital humanities, for example, multimedia, new media, is very interactive, and learning process must be interactive. It is not a facilitator or a teacher in a class who gives a monologue anymore. That is not the way teaching is moving towards now. We are moving towards technologically equipped, enabled teaching learning environment, and that is made possible by new media technologies, by digital humanities, and our paper presenters have prepared brilliant papers about new technologies for our teaching and learning processes. Thank you very much.
What I basically mean about institutions are that they are rules of a game and they apply to all aspects of life, including education. What do I mean by this? The general point is that whenever there are exogenously generated forces, institutions may in fact become obstacles towards change. One of those exogenously generated forces is technology. Technology is an important force that rapidly transforms everyday life. From horse-drawn carriages to motorized vehicles. It changed the requirements for roads. It changed the requirements for new rules of traffic. We needed these new rules where none existed before. Similarly, if you looked at the cell phone revolution that threw up issues, the main issue that it threw up was there were no rules of the game regarding property rights over spectrums. And new rules needed to be devised and put in place in order to foster healthy competition among providers. Similarly, I would say now there's a revolution in the learning media, technological revolutions. And therefore, there has been a rethinking of the learning process itself, and that's why we are all here today. And I would say that look at this from any kind of an interaction. And so this division between the teacher and the taught and this interactive session, would it affect the learning process itself? And should it be integrated with the e-learning process? Some sort of a mix of both. That happens in distance education where you have contact classes as well as distance mode. So the fifth paper, on the other hand, believes that the internet is a way of getting over the problem of uneven distribution of quality knowledge. Because it takes the position that much of the quality education that's available to us in our country today is confined to certain premier institutions. And therefore, those who have the money and wherewithal to be able to attend these premier institutions or write these draconian competitive exams where millions sit for few seats are the only ones who get the privilege of quality education in this country. And so the fifth paper kind of wonders whether internet is a solution to disseminating quality education, which would put an end of monopoly of the premier institutions that today hold this over in our country. Now, obviously each of these is talking about rules of the game. And each of these is addressing the consequences of a particular kind of an institutional form which is being bombarded by technological innovations. So it would be fascinating to hear the 5 speakers. I wish them well and I wish this conference well. Thank you very much.
But I think all the papers are quite interesting. In fact, we listen. But one thing what I noticed is express. How is it that then it was expressed in the books? When a teacher tries to, because this is where what we call multivocality. Every medium has got different kinds of assumptions. In postmodern language, we say that when you read, there are a lot of gaps in the text. The gaps are filled by the readers. And the gaps are filled by readers, that means that enriches the kind of quality of the text. Now when we are looking at that, that means it is not there. You cannot express it out when you say, when you are seeing a film, each one tries to interpret the film differently. When we are interpreting the film, we are filling those gaps. We are enhancing them. Nobody tells us to look at that way only. It is in our way of analysis and presenting. So what I feel that many papers, I was restraining myself to say that, but I think we should be critical. Being critical does not mean only negativity. Being critical means that what is the alternative sources? How do we do that? If there is a gap, in fact, I always say, what is tradition today was modern yesterday. What is modern today will be traditional tomorrow. Because things keep changing. I'm modern than my father was, making us to learn. I used to think, oh, you are all old traditional people. Now, the younger members will say, you are traditional, keep quiet. So tradition is a word that we use not as a derogatory, but something that was a knowledge accumulated, which is passed on. But that has helped us. When it has helped us, what are the problems in that? We must try to find solutions. I think most of the papers presented, we should look at that critical thinking into the system and into how to translate that is what I felt will be useful. Thank you very much.
interesting in your discussion, you actually asked how many people are like disability and specifically I've got my hand up even though I'm dyslexic. So I think it's really interesting. We're having a discussion about accessibility, but actually what you identify. Yeah, that's cool. Give an image, for example, this image here. Perhaps I'll ignore that one because that would actually read it out. This image here, it would read that as something like image, HTML, ... image number 7. Whereas he's got some kind of physical impairment disability. He's actually graduating from King's College. Yeah. And so this is my conclusion, that basically I think that we all have a responsibility as just really a collective, so not only good neighbours, peers and educators.
Is enlightenment. So here we have the 0-1 thing plus the word. 0-1 is the binary language which we use in computer, and the wordy. So it's just showing the mix, but still it's a 50-50 proportion. Traditional is to online. Third is empowerment. That is more of binary and less of traditional. A teacher having a project.
Alternatively, you have been there to build the intellectual capital for this particular project. Project E-QUAL actually started in 2013, and though the work for the project started way back in 2012, when we all conceptualized the proposal and thought what is the best way in which we can include, or what is the best way in which we can engage students and faculty to ensure that what kind of pedagogies that we can pilot or we can have an understanding on. So the project is basically being implemented by 4 partner universities in India. I'm sure you all would be aware of those names by now, which is Ambedkar University from Delhi, Shiv Nadar University from Delhi, University of Hyderabad and Jadavpur University from Calcutta. We also have project partners from Italy and from UK, University of Bologna from Italy and King's College London. You have already heard people presenting the papers from KCL and from Bologna, and you have got an understanding on what kind of things that they are doing. Basically now I would encourage all of you, because you have been contributing to the project, to engage yourself further to this particular project and not limit your contribution to this particular conference. So we have a lot of forums where students can engage themselves with the project. What I'm trying to show you here is the project website. So there are options like you have, we do newsletters, we do blogging on the project website. So I would encourage all of you to write blogs on the website. I would encourage all of you to contribute to the project newsletters. So there is a newsletter which comes out bi-monthly into the and which is published and circulated to all the major universities within India and to our own database. So I would encourage one of you to take the responsibility. I was talking to Yasin just a few minutes back to say that if somebody can take up a responsibility to contribute to the newsletter from University of Hyderabad, and this conference is one particular forum where you have collected and a lot of intellectual capital in terms of papers and abstracts which can go into the newsletter. So I would encourage one of you, whoever thinks would be like to take the responsibility to do the newsletter. Then there are blogs where you can write your blogs, and also this would be the forum for you to interact with the students, because you have built up friendships and you have built up networks through this conference, and it should not last only till today, by the end of the today. So I think you should also contribute to by blogging onto the website, and I think blogging is one particular kind of a forum where all of you can basically discuss. It is a free way of expressing your views, free way of getting inputs on what you think, and how the learning and teaching should happen. These are the few things that you can do, and also we have the second student conference coming up in February, which would be hosted by Ambedkar University in Delhi. I would want all of you to keep a track of the project website, and also you have the team here in the University of Hyderabad through the project office, which is situated at Center for Information and Learning. Professor Prabhakar Rao is the lead person here to get in information on this. And I would encourage all of you to contribute to the second student conference, which would happen in February, and we would be sharing the concept note and the details of the conference shortly with all of you. One of the students was talking about the fact that if they can work on the paper that they have presented here and go deeper into the research and present a paper at the second student conference. I think that is a very good idea, and we can definitely do that. And also there was some discussions about the fact that we would also be doing some kind of student exchange programs through this particular project. So there would be opportunities for the students from UK, EU countries to come to India, and from the Indian students to go to the UK. So those kind of options and opportunities are also available through this particular project. And there is a lot of student engagement that is happening. We have developed a few hours of OERs, that is open education resources, through the expertise of the partner institutions, and that would be available on the project website for all of you to study and learn, and possibly provide your inputs on improvising the content that has been developed by these partner universities. So these are the few forums, I think, which can be engaging for all of you, and where we would really want you to contribute, because the student contribution or the student engagement and involvement in the project is of utmost importance for this particular project. And I'm happy to take up any questions if you have, either regarding to the project or in terms of any of your contributions or your engagement with the project, and we can ensure that there can be some kind of a contribution that we can have a long-lasting effect into this particular project. We can talk about it at length once, maybe offline and wherever during lunchtime or something. Any questions you will have, we can talk about it.
We also want you to conduct a lesson survey and interact with the IIT Chennai people who are designing the NPTEL. They are the administrators.
Open education resources, right? So when we talk about online open education resources, these are not limited to any kind of big universities or small universities. These are available for anybody and everybody to utilize. And when you're saying about the project, this is not confined to the 4 Indian universities that we are talking about. As
I think you can stand it in such a way that the banner also comes. Yeah, banner. Go back. Yes, no, that side. Certificate. Yes. Show the certificate. All right. Nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
yes,
She's not here.
Soumya Arora.
You can announce so that the next person is ready.
Sadia Yaqub Lasania. Srijan Oziz.
Pick your name first. They should pick the names.
Next one, the next.
Oshin Shakweeti.
Now, may I request
Kanapati.
There is an announcement. SEMA runs a publishes journal, digital learning.
we have a blog on our website.
Yeah.
So if someone
Some
you wants to share your experience of how you did well or in any form of using online learning as an experience, just send it to Professor Rao and he will forward it to us. We will publish it on our Commonwealth of Learning website as a blog entry. So you are most welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your offer. Now I request Esri to say vote of thanks.
It's an amazing experience. Working with every one of you has been an amazing experience for each one of us. I feel privileged, I can't take a couple of words. There are 3 papers that I need to read. I feel privileged to propose a vote of thanks at the end of this special occasion. I have a long list of people to heartfully thank. This conference wouldn't be possible even if one person from the following list is absent. At the onset, I would thank Dr. Ramesh Sharma for his valedictorian address. I would thank European Commission, the British Council, our partner institutions, Ambedkar University, Jadavpur University, King's College London, Shivnadar University and University of Bologna. I thank Professor R.P. Sharma for our VC for the inaugural address. I thank Ms. Kaul for the address, Mr. Rao also for her address, Mr. Gulati for the keynote address, Ms. Parul for her support and communication, prior and during the conference. I thank the advisory and technical committee, Professor J. Prabhakar Rao sir, Professor R. Shivaprasad, Ms. Parul Gupta, Garima Verma and Mr. Naresh Gogikar. I thank the organizing committee, Professor K.C. James Raju sir, Professor Rajiv Vankar and Dr. Alok Pandey sir. I would thank the registrar and the finance officer for all the support in facilitating the conduct of this conference. I would thank the guest house and the SIP for accommodation. I would thank all the paper presenters for the presence over here. I would like to thank the chairpersons. I do not know if they are here, but I would like to thank them by name. I would like to thank the list of chairpersons are Akshita Srinivasan, Sanjana, Sai Shubhangi, Alaj, Shivanjali, myself, and our rapporteurs, Madhurima Chandra, Pragya Gupta, Manali, Turpurni Monica, Bhautria, Subhashini and Veera Shini. And there are different teams that made this conference possible. The content development team, Hari Krishna Verma, Pranay Raji, Manali, Anand Josh, Sama Murthy, Pragya Gupta, Aniski Soumya, and again myself. And then logistics. It has been one of the most important and crucial things in the organization of this conference. The head, Monica Prashanti, who is unfortunately not with us, she's been the heart of this conference, I would like to say. The food department has kept us alive. Ravi Kishore, Sainath, Amu Abhimanyu, Rajiv. If we are here and back in our guest houses and we are able to travel, it's because of Monica and Asif Ali. And this is the most important, these are multitaskers for us. They have been in every committee helping us all around the place. I would like to thank Surya Surendran, Ravali, Blessy, Prerna, Likita, Tanuja, Adhiya, Prasoon, Sarath, Deepthi, Arun, Aisha, Zubedi, Kritika Purna. And a special thanks for that exciting cultural event yesterday to Sai Sindar and Sai Charan and everybody who helped them. So that's pretty much the list. And I would also thank at the end the media for coverage and the School of Life Sciences for the venue. Thank you.
Let us conclude this conference. Thank you once again. Would you like one?
A big applause of applause to Professor J. Prabhakar Rao.
Thank you all.